So what we cover from here on out is not going to be on your test on Wednesday. This is your homework for Monday. So percents means expressing a number as a part of 100. Percent, okay, cent is that Latin word for 100. So it's a part of 100. So most of you guys know how to express a decimal as a percent, but just in case you've forgotten, we'll review this. So here we have a decimal value of 0.023. And to change this to a percent, because it's a part of 100, we're multiplying by 100 essentially, which really is the same as moving the decimal 2 places to the right. Okay, so again, this is really equivalent to times 100, okay, because it's part of 100. So move your decimal 2 places to the right. Your new decimal is here. You can drop the unnecessary zeros. You have 2.3, and then just add a percent sign to show that 0.023 is equivalent to 2.3%. Okay, so most people are comfortable when there's a decimal value. 0.58 is going to be what? 58%. Because you just move that decimal 2 places. What tends to trip up a student is if they see like a whole number, 39. Where is the decimal right now? On the right. Yeah, it's invisible. It's on the right. You still need to move it 2 places. So when we move it 2 places, we have to put 2 zeros. And even though it looks sort of ludicrous, this is 3,900%, okay, 3,900%. Because the number 1 would be 100%. So the number 39 is 39 times that. So don't get tripped up just because they throw a whole number at you. You're still moving your decimal 2 places to the right. This is moving a decimal to a percent. You're also going to be asked to express a fraction as a percent. So here you have the number 1/8. And really the best way to do this is to first convert this fraction to a decimal. That's really what we're going to do. We're just going to change the fraction to a decimal. So you divide 1 divided by 8. It's always numerator divided by denominator. And using your calculator, what do you get? 0.125. Okay? So you can just use your calculator, do 1 divided by 8. You get 0.125, but now you have to change this decimal to a percent. So now move it 2 places to the right, and you get 12.5%. Okay, but what if you get something like 2/3? When you put 2/3 into your calculator, what do you get? 0.666666, and so on, right? It's a repeating decimal. So the problem will say round to the nearest 1/10 of a percent. Okay, it's normally that's what the instructions are. Round to the nearest 1/10 of a percent. Well, in order to round to the nearest 1/10 of a percent, you first have to convert to a percent. So don't do any rounding until after you have created a percent. So I'm going to move this decimal 2 places to the right. And so that now gives me 66.666%. Okay, the 6 is still repeating. You want to go ahead and round to the nearest 1/10. So which one is the 1/10th place? The first 6 to the right of the decimal. Good. Okay, so we're rounding to this one. Remember, you're looking to the next one over to decide how to round. So since the next digit after that one is 5 or greater, then we're going to move that digit up 1. So this is approximately 66.7%. And most of my students get this wrong, not because they don't know how to convert it to a percent, because they're not taking the time to really look at the rounding. Okay? And so take your time and make sure that you're rounding to the right digit. So again, whatever you're rounding to, this was the 1/10ths, look at the next number. If that number had been less than 5, we would have kept this 6 the same. All right, so again, a lot of students will give me 70% because they'll round to 0.7 first and then put 70%. Notice that's a lot different than 66.7%. So again, pay attention to what you're rounding to. All right, so now going in the opposite direction, expressing a percent as a decimal. So going back to the decimal. Well, we're just going in reverse order, so we want to do our steps in reverse order. Remove the percent sign, which gives you a 67. Where is the decimal currently? Because I don't see one. To the right of the 7. Yep, it's hiding over there. So now we need to move our decimal 2 places to the left, because this time we're dividing by 100, so we're moving it to the left, giving us 0.67. So what is 250% equal to? 2.5 is correct. Because you're removing the percent sign, moving that 2 places over to the left. Okay, but on occasion they will throw something like this at you. 14 1/8%. Okay, 14 1/8%. So first, change this to a decimal. So change the fraction to a decimal. And we already did 1/8. What was 1/8 equal to? 0.125. So this is equal to 14.125%. So don't get thrown off by the fraction. Just put the fraction into your calculator to find out what the decimal value is. And now we want to go ahead and change this to a decimal. So move that decimal place 2 places to the left, drop the percent sign, and we get 0.14125. Do not round this answer unless you are specifically told to round it, because this is the exact answer, 0.14125. So most likely you're going to be expected to type that whole thing in. Okay, so this was the basics, the foundation, making sure you knew how to change percent to a decimal and vice versa. So now come percent problems. Now there's a couple different strategies. I'm going to show you the strategy that the book shows first. And so these would be the type of problems like 5 is what percent of 25? Okay, those types of problems. And so this method 1, which the book gives you, if the question is in this format, A is P% of B, well then you can form an equation of A equals PB. Now with this particular, now here's another way, this is what the book shows, A equals PB. This is what I learned growing up. Okay, it's really the same equation, but the is equals the percent times the of. And notice that right after the word of is the B. Okay, always after the word of is that number, B. And then the is the other number in the problem, the A. Okay, however you want to remember it, A equals PB or is equals percent times the of. But for this formula, you need to change the percent to a decimal number. Okay, so you have to convert that to a decimal. So here's what one problem might be. 9 is 60% of what? So translating this problem, the first thing that I always do is I look for the word of. Notice that the word of is right here, and what comes after the word of? What? So that's your unknown. Okay, you don't know what this is, and this is, in this problem, this would be the B. We don't know what the B is. The other value has to be the A. If you always look for the of first, that's the easier number to find. The other number has to be the A. And then the percent we need to change as a decimal. So what is 60% as a decimal? 0.60 or 0.6, however you want to write that. So substituting it into this formula, the 9 has to go here. The percent is 0.60, and we do not know B, so I'm going to leave B in the problem. So this is just a basic algebra problem now. We need to get B by itself. So right now it's 0.6 times B, so the opposite would be to divide by 0.6. And so in your calculator, find what 9 divided by 0.6 is. Again, 0.6 is the same as 0.60, so I just shortened it for ease. And did everybody get 15? Okay, so 15 is equal to B. So 9 is 60% of 15. That's what we just found. Okay, here's another problem. 1.3 is what percent of 26? So again, which one is the of? Yeah, B, and which value is that? 26. Okay, so that has to be that part of the formula, the of. And then, so that means this is the A. Or notice this is the is, that's the of. However you want to look at the equation. And the unknown this time is the percent. What percent? So substituting it in, we have 1.3 equals P times 26. Okay, we don't know what that percent is. Or this is really the same as 1.3 equals 26P, right? That's how we would write that. So what are we going to do here? To solve for P? Divide by 26. And so 1.3 divided by 26? 0.05, good. So this is what we got for P. But it wants to know what was the percent, and when we solve the problem, our answer is a decimal. Okay, so be careful because this formula uses percent in the format of a decimal, we now have to convert this back to a percentage. Okay, so if you're using this formula, this answer is a decimal which needs to be converted to a percent. All right, so what am I going to do with my decimal? Go to the right 2 places, so I end up with 5%. Okay, so that's your final answer. So just be careful. A lot of people will just stop there and type in a 0.05. It's not 0.05%, it's 5%. All right, that's one method to do your percent problems. Yes? Mm-hmm. That was the next one that I was going to show. Yeah, the cross. Well, you just wouldn't even use this equation. So, okay, so the other method, which I'll just call method 2, is setting up a proportion. A proportion is when you have one fraction equal to another fraction. It's the same thing. So if you like the other method, that's fine. This one has the percent over 100, and the other fraction is the is over the of. Or another way you can look at it is the part over the whole is another way to look at it as well. Now, what I like about this method is that there's no converting of the percent. So you don't have to worry about, oh, wait, is my answer still in a decimal form or anything? No, it's the same thing. And so let's do the same 2 problems using this method. So this is same first one we did. 9 is 60% of what? And so, again, I first look at the of and notice that right after the word of is the unknown. I would probably just use an X for that. That's my unknown. And so because this is my of, then this has to be the is. And so when I go to put in the percent into my formula, I'm not going to convert the 60 to a decimal. 60% means 60 out of 100. So I am just writing 60 over 100. Just whatever that number is goes over 100, because that's what the definition of percent is. So 60 over 100, and then I need the is over the of. So we're going to have a 9 over my unknown, which is x. And so to solve a proportion, you can just cross multiply. You can simplify if you want, but there's not a need to do that. It's whatever you want to do. But when you cross multiply, you have 60 times x equals 9 times 100, which is 900. And then just divide both sides by 60. And you still should get 15, right? That's what we got last time? Yeah. So you still get an answer of 15. So it doesn't matter to me which method you're using. You just pick whichever one you feel most comfortable with. There are even other methods to do percents. These are just the two most popular. And some of you, just in your calculator, you say, okay, multiply the numbers across diagonally and then divide by the third number, because that's essentially what you end up doing when you solve the equation. Okay, so multiplying across, dividing by that third number. All right, so let's go ahead and do this other one. 1.3 is what percent of 26? Remember, the number directly after the word of is always your of. The word is does not always appear next to the number for is. That's why I'm pointing out that the of is always the easier one to find. So I don't know what my percent is, so that's going to be my x. X over 100 equals the is over the of. Everybody okay where I place the numbers? Okay, this is the is over the of. And so now I'm going to cross multiply, so I have 26x equals 130, right? Is that what you get? 1.3 times 100? And then divide by 26, and x equals 5. And we do not have to convert this. It is 5%. That's what it is equal to. Nope, you don't have to convert the percent to decimal or back to it. So those are percent. You're going to have a few percent problems. And then you're going to have a couple application problems. So let me go ahead and write these formulas for your applications. And then I have a handout for you that has 3 application problems that we can do together. On the applications of percent, we have sales tax amount, which you need to take the tax rate times the item's cost. The discount amount, you take your discount rate times the original percent. Most of you guys have done that before, okay? You've done that in your everyday life. Finding percent increase and decrease can sometimes be new for you guys, but you're going to be given 2 amounts. You've got a new amount and an old amount, so you always want to take the new minus the old and divide by the old, and to create a percent, you multiply that answer by 100. If you end up with a positive answer, then it was an increase. If you end up with a negative answer, then it must have been a decrease. On your handout, let's go ahead and skip to number 8. So on the back side, skip to number 8. So if you haven't finished writing down, that's okay. I'll slide it down as we go. So suppose that the local sales tax rate is 5% and you purchase a car for $16,400. How much tax is paid? In order to do these problems, you want to first convert your percent to a decimal. So 5% would be what as a decimal? Point. Okay, and this is the tricky one when it's a single digit. You still have to move your decimal 2 places to the left. So you're going to have that 0 in there. Okay, so 5% is the same as 0.05. And then you just take that rate and multiply it times the cost of the item to find the tax. So 0.05 times 16,400. Okay, hopefully you got $820. Yes. So the price of the car before tax is $16,400. So once you actually decide, okay, this is the car I'm going to purchase, they figure out the tax, they multiply that rate, and that is just the amount of tax that you're going to pay. So in order to figure out what your total is, including tax, and this doesn't include all the other things that come with buying a car, okay, just the price of the car and tax, what do you have to do with those amounts? Add them. Okay, so add 820 plus 16,400, and you get 17,220. So make sure you're paying attention to what the question's actually asking. Like in this box, you just want to put the amount of the tax. In this one, they're looking for a total. So again, make sure you don't assume what they're, maybe it asks you for a total, and you put in just the tax. Yes? Like if you're doing a discount, then you would subtract, what's left over, the 95. So you took the 95% of 16,400, and found how much that was, subtracted it from the 16,400, and that gives you the amount. I don't know. It does give you, I'm not sure. Okay, it gives you the 5%. Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah, when I process those things, I have to sort of visualize it. So, but yes, that should work. When you're looking, just be careful, because when you're looking for things like a raise, like an increase or something, like sometimes people, like you know what the future amount is. It won't ever work on the future amount. You got to do it on the current amount. So just make sure what they give you in the problem. Okay, so, all right, so now we're going to look at the discount. And this is where I normally see what your process it is on these types of problems on the discount. Let me fold this paper over. Hold on. Okay, an exercise machine with an original price of $750 is on sale for 24% off. What is the discount amount? Okay, and then what's the sale price? So first they want to know how much are you going to save? You know, what's that discount amount? So you just take your discount rate times your original price to find out how much they're going to take off the price. So again, what's 24% as a decimal? 0.24. And so you've got 0.24 times 750. And hopefully you get 180? Okay. So that's your discount. That's how much is going to be reduced from the price. So to find what the sale price is going to be, what would you do with the 180? Subtract it from the amount. Good. So 750 minus 180 equals, good, 570. Now this is what I was thinking you were telling me, that a lot of people will use that method to find what the new price would be. Like if you take 100 minus 24, because that's what a percent is out of 100, right? So 100 minus 24 would give you 76. And if you did 0.76 of 750, that should give you the new price, 570. Okay. Again, whatever way, you're always going to show me your work. So now let's look at this percent increase and decrease. This is what usually is more new to a student. Here it says a sofa regularly sells for $810. The sale price is $753.30. Find the percent decrease of the sale price from the regular price. Okay, so it regularly sells $810, so that would be the old amount, right, or the original amount, old or original. The new amount is the sale price. It now sells for $753.30. So looking at this formula, I want to take the new $753.30, subtract the old $810, and always divide by the old, and then multiply by 100. So in your calculator, and I'll try to wrap this up quickly here, in your calculator, do the subtraction and hit equals. So you have 753.3 minus 810 equals, and you get a negative number. Then divide by the 810, and you get negative 0.07. Now multiply by 100, and that gives you a negative 7. Now, let me point this out. The answer is not negative. Okay, the negative is saying that this is a decrease. So it is a decrease of 7%. So your answer is 7. This just tells me that it's a decrease. So it confirms that I got a decrease. If you had gotten a positive, it would have been a percent increase. Okay, so that's the biggest thing I want to point out with the formula.